Welcome back to the True Body Intelligence Podcast. My name is Christopher Lee Maher, and I'm your host. And today, we're going to follow up on a system within True Body Intelligence we call Body of Light. And we're going to get into the importance of it. We're going to get into the practice of it and the simplicity of it. Because for me, it's important to always give things to people that they can utilize and implement that produce a profound result with very little effort.
And we're back for another beautiful episode of the True Body Intelligence Podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be back. Happy to share.
Yeah.
Even though I haven't gone anywhere. Basically, I've just changed my clothes to make it look like I've gone somewhere.
Shh, nobody knows.
Okay.
This is Hollywood.
Don't tell anyone.
So I'm very excited about the episode of today. It's a subject that I'm very fascinated by because I'm a newcomer to this kind of stuff. And we're about to talk about the body of light. What is the body of light? How is it different than the emotional body and all the other kinds of energetic body and all that stuff?
Yeah, so what is the body of light? What a good question. When we look at a human being, we have to realize that a human being is made up of many layers. And one of those layers is called your auric field. And your auric field has 13 levels of energy, okay, with varying levels of density. And so as your auric field gets closer to your body, those varying levels of density become more dense. And then you have your skin. And then you get down into your muscles and your fascia and your ligaments. And then you get down into your bones, right, and your spine. And so that's level 1, level 2, muscles, fascia, connective tissue. Level 3, skin. And then we have level 4 all the way up to 13, right? And so the body of light is really working on what you brought into this world at a soul level. So what we've been talking about so far with mashing, with Bestersize, with eye-centric strength is what you've accumulated in terms of what was passed off to you from your parents. What we've left out is what you brought here with you, right? And so humans, before they were humans, they operated at, let's say, fifth dimensional density. So there is no physical body to be in. But to someone who's in fifth dimensional density, it would still look like a body, right? And so here we are on this plane of existence, dealing with intense levels of density, like this table. I'm sure you guys can hear that.
Table of light.
Okay, but now I'm knocking on my energy, see? And you'd have to be very sensitive to feel that. See, I knock on my energy, I can feel it, right? I can feel that.
Is this where the aura begins?
Yeah, no, the aura is 13. I mean, it's out here, but it's 13 layers. So your auric field's going all the way back to the edge of where you communicate with source consciousness.
Oh, so it
enormous.
Extends. Okay.
It's enormous. Okay, and so we think of ourselves as these tiny little, small expressions of intelligent density, and yet we're these enormous, energetic, intelligent beings. And so the body of light fits in with all the other systems that I talk about, where there's an importance to be able to address all aspects of a being. When you talk about true transformation, from my point of view, the only thing that I've discovered on the planet that creates true transformation is understanding the implicate order and then going through all phases and all levels of density within yourself to be able to locate and then transmute lower functioning frequencies and intelligence into high functioning frequency and intelligence, so that you can maximize human potential, which you used a great word earlier in one of our episodes where you said superhuman potential, right? And I want everyone to have the opportunity to access superhuman potential. And so we got to look at the soul's matrix, right? You got the physical body and you got the soul's matrix. Well, all states of disease or dis-ease at a soul level, they begin at the 13th level of density and they work their way in towards our physical body. Okay, now we've got the genetic and the epigenetic working from our physical body out towards the edge of our auric field. So now these two things are colliding. Well, it's great to work on the body. That's wonderful. But you still have to work on the energy, the spirit, the soul. You still have to work on the energy, the spirit, the soul. And what you came in with is soul karma. What you're dealing with in your body is karma from your lineage. Okay? So how do we go about addressing that? We address that through the body of light. What I mean by that is we use the word vibration, right? If you look in the good books, the good text, what does it say? Hold on. Why did I call them good? If you look back in those religious historical texts, they say that in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and then the Word was God. Well, how did the Word become God? Right? Well, because vibration allows you to create intent, and intent then determines action. Right? So in order to be able to produce any result in the world, anything, somebody had to have an intention in order to produce that result. Okay? So how do we set intentions? Through thoughts. Sometimes we hear words in our head. Well, those are still words. They still carry vibration. And so we are going to use the gift that God gave us, which was the ability to co-create, to create, but also to discreate. And so when I'm in a body, I have the right to be able to discreate anything that I'm aware of that has been created that is operating outside of my own ethical resolve. And so when I make that choice to begin to do that, I have to have an algorithm. And so what I've done is created a system called Body of Light, and I've created different vibrational algorithms to neutralize fear-based states and controlling mechanistic structures and strategies to be able to provide a pathway to get back to neutrality. Okay, so through these algorithms, you're able to locate this level of dysfunction, and then you're able to send that vibration back to where it came from and transmute it back into white light and return it to its source. Okay, so let's say...
So the body of light is perfect?
The body of light is...
Or it's the transformation process by which you return it to source?
It's the transformational process by which it returns to source. Because I have a right, you have a right, all the listeners, all of you, every single one of you has a right to send back any energy or consciousness that you picked up from anyone back to that person, and then back to the source of that person, which is source creation. And if you do that on a regular, semi-regular basis, you're constantly shedding all the dust and debris that you're picking up. So let's say, you know, this house, if I leave and I come back a month later, there's going to be dust everywhere, right? Does the dust is it purposely attempting to create a negative intention? No, it's just a process of what goes on here on Earth. Okay, things die, they shed. So you want to clean up, you want to dust your house, right? Well, how do you dust your house? You do an attunement, right? So before I got on the podcast with you, what could I have done? I could have closed my eyes and I could have said, body, brain, nervous system, attune yourself to that which I am, uniquely, as love, as light, as vibration, as creation, as time, as energy, as space, as consciousness, as a pure, clear, divine reflection of God's love, of God's light, of God's laughter, and of God's presence. And so it is forevermore. Now, if you're really astute, you would feel right now an intense shift in my vibration. Did you feel that?
I feel, when you speak, I feel different things happening. So it's
Yeah.
kind of hard for me to say at the moment.
Okay.
But I do feel some things happening when you speak, for
Okay,
sure.
so let's have you do it. I'll do it, and then you repeat after me.
Sure.
Okay, close your eyes, tune in, put your fingertips together,
Like this?
like the tips of the fingers, right?
Like this.
Let that settle down and repeat after me. Body, brain, nervous system.
Body, brain, nervous system.
Attune yourself
Attune yourself
to that which I am,
to that which I am,
uniquely,
uniquely,
as love,
as love,
as light,
as light,
as vibration,
as vibration,
as consciousness,
as consciousness,
as time,
as time,
as space,
as space,
as a pure,
as a pure,
clear,
clear,
direct
direct
reflection
of
God's love, light, and laughter,
God's love, life, and laughter,
and presence.
and presence.
And so it is forevermore.
And so it is forevermore.
Okay, did you feel that shot of energy?
It didn't feel like a shot of energy. It felt like a percolating up thing.
Yeah,
Like
that's called a shot of energy.
Okay.
Yeah.
It felt more like opening a soda pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you do that, psh, you know that when
Yeah.
you sort of psh, that's a shot of energy, right?
Like, I guess, yeah. My brain just interprets it. But I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying. Yeah.
So when you attune yourself, right, through the body of light, then what's going to happen? Now you're determining what your energy is going to be. Body, brain, nervous system, attune yourself to that which I am uniquely. That's different than attune myself to love. Well, who I am in relationship to love is unique. And I want to tune into my uniqueness so I can offer my uniqueness rather than this generalized version of love, right? This generalized version of presence, this generalized version of humor. Who am I so that I can express as I was designed and created to express? And so that's a simple aspect of the body of light. That's an attunement.
So can you say in this sense that there's a soul genetics? Like there's a lineage to souls, or souls are always just what they are? Or they accumulate over time as well, which is part of this process that basically determines who I am to express myself uniquely.
Well, I'll say it differently. I'll say that a soul has a matrix of energy and has an intelligence inside of it. And that intelligence has the ability to connect to all things simultaneously. Okay?
So it's literally a piece of God.
It depends on if you think of God through a third dimensional mind, because the conversation that you want to have really requires 5th D awareness, right? To be able to distill it down. And for the purposes of what we're talking about, I want to stay more practical.
Sure.
In terms of the actions that they can take in order to attune their nervous system and their body and their brain to a more high functioning state, so they can have access to more peace, more openness, more joy, more groundedness, and access more of their being, but mostly so that they realize that they're in charge, right? So if I'm unaware that I'm in charge and I'm lacking the ability to know that I can use the word in order to attune myself, then whatever feeling or emotion I wake up to that's going on in my household, I now have to be that the rest of the day. And is that what you want? Would you like to, I wake up and now I'm a prisoner of all the emotions going around in my household? Or I want to attune myself, knowing that will help them attune to themselves. So by giving people tools like this, we then allow them to participate the way they want to. So now they're an active participant. They're at choice. So body of light ultimately was created to be able to consciously transmute a relationship that's dysfunctional in the current time space, yet is karmically related, and this is a little bit of what you wanted to get into, is karmically related to some aspect of reality that's from the past, right? And that could be past in this life for other people who have other belief systems. That could be from the past of another life. But if you think that all lives are one life, then you realize, well, all past is past, right? So I'm saying that because I want to get around anyone's resistance to, oh, well, the good book that I learned from says, well, there's only one life. Well, we know that there's a concept of oneness, that all lives bleed into each other. So let's just say that there's only one past, right? Which means there's only one future, because we're in oneness consciousness. So the purpose of the soul and its matrix of energy, we as humans have a right to be able to transmute anything and everything that we consciously become aware of that's dysfunctional and operating outside of the desire that we want to have now. So let's say you and your lady been arguing the last 3 months, right? And you're like, I want to get rid of this petty arguing over where stuff goes in the house. This is like eating away at the core principles that we agreed upon for our relationship. So then, you know someone who knows me, you come in to visit me, we go through a transmutative process, right? A TMM. And through the TMM process, we transmute all the dysfunctional karmic energy between you and your partner. And now you go home and there's no more petty arguing. Because when we go through a transmutative process, and you're doing it for the benefit of you, and you're equally doing it for the benefit of her, you're saying to her, to me, to you, to the universe, I see us equally, and I hold myself equally responsible for what we've been co-creating. And so in that dynamic, there's no martyr, there's no victim, and there's no perpetrator. All there is a co-creator who's in charge of what it is they want to co-create. And so when you look at material, you have to understand that this material was created, and at its fundamental expression, it's still energy. Okay? So everything's energetic, which essentially means everything's spiritual. So even if you're science-minded and you sharpened your chops at MIT or Harvard's scientific library, you still have to bend the knee to the fundamental principles that everything is energy, right? There's never any more, there's never any less, it's only changing form, which means that eventually this table that all this lovely recording equipment is sitting on will eventually one day change form. And so, as a conscious being, with the ability to use our conscious mind to observe, once I make an observation that something's out of alignment with my current state of desire in terms of my ethics, my morals, my values, my principles, my wishes, my desires, I now have the ability to consciously shift whatever my perception of that is that's causing me agitation, irritation, frustration, anxiety, anger, pain, discomfort, and self-righteousness, but mostly fear that leads to more limiting beliefs that traps me into a tighter, more fixed prison of expression. And what I want for our brothers and sisters is to have the opportunity to experience more freedom, right? What's the name of my book? Life.
Free for life.
Right? Well, how are you going to be free for life when you're overly attached to the limiting beliefs that were created before you came here? Okay, at one point, they thought the world was flat, right? And so no one was going to take a ship beyond a certain point because they thought the ship would fall off the edge. Like, people honestly believe that, okay? At one point, scientists believe that everything revolves around the earth. And then they found out later, oh, it revolves around the sun, right? So old belief systems, well, they're outdated, right? And we need a current belief system that allows us to get more present to what is occurring now. Well, how are we going to do that if we're bringing our karmic exchanges with our partners from some distant past into our current present? And now there's all this agitation in the field that's unnecessary. Well, it's in the way of love. What would you choose to feel? Like acceptance, love, fun, playfulness, or the opposite of those things? Well, the opposite of those things, it can have value, but the moment you realize that it's disruptive, it no longer has any value for you. And the only value it can give you moving forward is to remind you of the importance of transformation and transmutation and transfiguration. So when we speak of the systems in true body intelligence, what are we talking about? We're talking about transfiguration and transmutation. Okay, that leads to true transformation. Most people in the personal development community, they're stuck with change. And they think because they change a mindset that they've created a true transformational experience. No, 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 no. You need transmutation and transfiguration. We need to transform the figure. Well, how do we do that? Ma Xing, eye-centric strength. Bestersize. How do we transmute? Body of light.
So that's basically the step that allows you to take all the stuff that came out, and then you basically, so to speak, give it back to the universe. You
Now
say,
we're
I
giving
don't
it back
need
to
it
the
anymore.
universe, right? We're
Right.
transmuting it back into light, and we're sending it back to the universe. And we're thanking it simultaneously.
So there's no negative connotation to it.
There's no negative connotation to it anymore because I become self-aware. I realize that, oh yeah, my wife's telling me that I have a drinking problem. She's been telling me for 15 years. She finally said, look, Bob, you keep on drinking, honey. When you wake up tomorrow, I'll be gone. And then Bob says, do I really want to lose my wife over a couple beers? No, that sounds like a bad idea. And so he goes to her and he says, hey, listen, I've considered that what you're saying has some value. Okay, I've got 4 DUIs, I've crashed 2 cars, and I'm willing to be honest about it now. What do I need to do? She goes, well, you need to find somebody. Maybe you go to AA. And he goes, he starts dealing with the 12-step program. He forgives those he needs to forgive. He asks for forgiveness for those who have hurt him, right? And he goes through this cleansing process at a psychological and an emotional level, right? And as he's going through that cleansing process at an emotional, psychological level, he's still fighting up against what? He's still fighting up against his urge to drink. Because guess what? He never transmuted and he never transfigured. And so now he's still using that system. It's helping him, right? But he never did the deeper work, right? So for me, if I was an overweight, obese male or female, and I had an addiction to cake, well, do I want to use my mind to control myself? To like implement some strategy the second I see a cake? Or do I want to transmute and transfigure so that I never even recognize cake anymore as having any value? So what we're talking about with the body of light, we're talking about removing the actual imprint of the experience that created the fight or flight response in the first place. So now the imprint is gone and the trigger is gone simultaneously. So now when I go to dinner at my friend's house, I have the freedom to inform them that I'd actually like to have an apple. And they go, yeah, we can chop up an apple for you. Great. Do you want to eat a cake? No, I'd rather have an apple instead. And now I get my apple.
And you basically there's no anti attitude towards the cake. You just basically choose something else that is better for you.
And then no one gives me a headache about it either, because if I transmute and I transfigure successfully, when someone asks me, hey, do you want to have a glass of wine? And I say, no, thank you. I'd rather have a glass of water. There's no convincing from them. Oh, come on, just have one. Well, that's so weird. How come you're not drinking? None of that exists. Because, see, my relationship with that substance has transmuted. So what happens is they now have the ability to respect where I'm at. But if all I'm doing is managing my addiction to this substance with my mind, they now are going to question. Oh, come on, Bob, come on. Like, what's one beer going to do? That can't hurt you that well. Come on, 1 cup of coffee, a little bit of sugar in there. That's nothing. Everything, temperance, man. I mean, come on. Everything in moderation, brother. Let's do everything in moderation. And when you've transmuted, moderation is uninteresting to you. Because why would you ever put any substance in your body that you know is harmful? Well, you'll do it if you have pain in your emotions, if you have pain in your soul, if you have pain in your spirit, you have pain in your energy, you have pain in your emotions, your body. Oh, you'll do it, right? Now you got to control. Well, in true body intelligence, what are we doing? We're removing the controlling mechanistic structures that cause you to lean on that substance in the first place. So what do we get? We now get the freedom to choose what aligns to where we are ethically, morally, principally. And now I'm in freedom to choose what works for me. Because who really, look, I like being social, but I don't want to have to wake up with a headache and to feel terrible and to destroy my brain cells in order to be able to have a good time socially. I want to be able to have a good time socially. So I go to a social event, I guarantee you I have more fun than anybody that's there because I'm present. Right? When we're having a conversation, I'm with you. I'm never thinking about the person over here in the corner. I'm with you. So I'm getting these deep, rich experiences because I'm open to connection. I'm receptive and I'm willing to share.
So when you transmute, then the possibility of it even arising as any kind of inkling for you or other people trying to convince you, it just disappears because it's no longer part of your pathway.
It's no part of your pathway. So there's no connection in your energy field to it.
So then people don't feel the inkling to express that.
That's right. So it's the same thing. Let's say you get someone who went through physical trauma. They had a father who was an alcoholic, and his favorite thing was to get drunk and then come home and then beat them with a belt. And he really liked to beat on the wife because he hates his mom. And instead his son wakes up and he meets him at the bottom of the stairs and starts to fight with him because he wants to protect his mom. Well, now that son is going to have what? He's going to have a very disruptive relationship with men. Okay? He's going to feel insecure. It's going to be difficult for him to open up. And even though he's gone to counseling, right, which is wonderful, you got to talk about things. You got to let things off your chest. You got to let somebody in on your hidden things or your secrets or the things you feel insecure about. It's wonderful. But then once you get through that, you got to do something else. You got to transform the energy. I mean, you got to transmute the energy. So now he joins a fraternity, right? He's in college. And if anyone ever messes with one of his brothers, even gives him a dirty look, here he comes with the right hook. He's knocking someone out in the middle of the party, right? And everybody knows you always feel safe when Jake's around. But now because Jake is that way, he draws and attracts people to behave that way when he's in the field. So a better choice would be to simply just transmute all the negative states of stress and trauma and distortion that his father projected into his body. Why? So now when he goes into a field, he's bringing neutrality. So all the guys who want to start something, they never start something because Jake's in the field. And Jake's in the field coming from a position of love rather than fear. Because this other guy, guess what? His dad did the same things to him. So now he's just looking for someone that he can lean up against and pass that off to.
So it keeps perpetuating. So what you want to create a state that is not no longer perpetuating the negative energy,
You
whatever
want
it
to
was.
remove it from the field because guess what we said earlier? Like 2 episodes ago, we said all humans are made up of electromagnetic energy. Well, what does that mean essentially? You're an electrolyzed magnet. To do what? To attract what you are and to attract what you are not, to give you a simple sense of where you're at in your development. So whatever's happened to you is recorded in your nervous system. It's imprinted in your experience. And until that's transmuted, you're going to continue to do what? You're going to continue to express that either at a subconscious level, and an unconscious level, or a conscious level. But it's going to be sabotaging to your life. And if you're aware that you've experienced self-sabotage or self-defeating behavior, masochistic behavior on a consistent or semi-consistent basis, and you're tired of running down that same old road and getting the same exact result, you've got to invest some time and some energy into transmutation and transfiguration. And so body of light is essential in order to be able to get you to stay in an intense state of neutrality. Because in neutrality, everything's neutral. We're okay with everything. We're comfortable. If you said we were going to meet at 10:30 and you get here at 2:45, if I'm in neutrality, I understand that 2:45 had purpose. And then I wait half an hour and I get confirmation. Oh, thank goodness we started then. You see? But if I'm invested interest, like, well, I don't like people who are late. Then you come in here, it's 10:45, now I'm giving you attitude. I'm saying, oh my God, it costs me this much to work with you and you don't have the decency to show up on time, right? And I'm running that game. I'm running that because I'm invested interest. Well, if you're running an energy or expressing a behavior that's causing you a massive amount of agitation based on other people's behaviors, then you're never in freedom. You're actually a prisoner to your lineage through your body and a prisoner to the karma in your soul. And you're here on earth, right? This is a wonderful place to be. If you're going to be here, you might as well add good value. You add good value when you're in neutrality, because you're going to give everyone the space to operate as they were designed, rather than what you think they should be.
So I'm not sure that this is what you usually teach next, but I wonder what, after you cleared yourself, you get to a place of neutrality, you transmuted as much of it as you possibly can. What then? How do you choose a life's path when things just, whatever comes is fine?
Because the only thing that comes is your purpose. See, in neutrality, that's where your purpose lives. Vested interest is what you're chasing after. That's the opposite of what your purpose is. Your purpose is simply to express who it is as you were designed. Nothing trumps design. Right? If you're meant to be transpersonal and vested in other people's growth, get after it. If you're designed to be vested in your own agendas, get after them. Right? Have a good time going for them. Yet if you're designed to be vested in your own agenda and you're spending your entire life focused on other people's needs, it's because there's something desiring to be transmuted, because you're being inauthentic. And how do we know? Because you're questioning your life all the time. Is this what I'm supposed to do? I got no idea. Oh my God, I'm so unhappy. Oh, I feel depressed. Oh, I'm medicated. Oh, guess what? I'm drinking. Oh, I'm smoking. Partying out on recreational drugs. I'm getting down on pharmaceutical chemical interventions. Why? Because my train is supposed to be on track A and I'm on track X. And when you discover that you're on track X, you have to figure out, well, what is it? What relationship do I need to transmute so I can get my train on track A? Well, the relationships that are closest to you. You have to transmute your moms and your dads. If you're adopted, you still have to transmute your biological parents out of your energy field. And then you have to transmute your adopted parents, because we're all picking up a lot of influence from those that raised us, and their inner deficiencies and their limiting beliefs are now embedded deep inside of us. And now there's a way out. There's a way for me to choose my own path. Well, when I transmute mom and dad, guess what happens? Suddenly I no longer feel obligated to uphold and be loyal to and devoted to my parents' limiting beliefs, inner deficiencies, insecurities, and fears. Now I'm confident, right? Now I'm sufficient. Now I'm inspired. Now I'm activated. Now I can take a risk. And when I take a risk, I get a reward. What's my reward? I make a mistake and I fail. Well, what's the greatest aspect of success? Failure. Well, without failure, is there anything learned? No. So what am I avoiding essentially when I'm too stressed and I'm too tense and I'm too toxic and I'm too distorted? I'm avoiding taking risks to my own benefit. Now, when I do, I'm learning. And when I'm learning, I'm now adding value to everyone's life that I touch. Because now I have something to share that's authentic and unique to me, that could be of extreme value to you. And so Body of Light helps us shed, transmute, amplify, okay, our unique purpose in the world. And now once our track is on track A, there's nowhere else to be, because everything falls in line. I'm in track A. I'm on track M. I might have a train. My engine on track M may be too fast for track M, and I keep falling off the rails. But on track A, I go the right speed. I got the right amount of cars connected. Everything is plush inside the way that I need it to be. I'm completely fulfilled and satisfied because I'm on my purpose. And my purpose is simple: to be successful at expressing my unique design, energy, and consciousness, to add value to this collective world that we live in together.
Do you usually help people also figure out how to plug in this deeper understanding and intelligence into their craft or what they do, or in the new craft that they find because they found who they really are, or this is something that arises for them naturally at that point?
This is a process that occurs because, remember, all the systems in true body intelligence exist to increase your intelligence. So when we increase their emotional intelligence, well, guess what happens to their analytical intelligence? It gets higher. We increase their analytical intelligence, their energetic intelligence gets higher because they're more aware. When their energetic intelligence gets higher, guess what happens to their physical intelligence? It gets impacted. So everything cycles up. Every part of you continues to get more refined and more intelligent. Now that you're operating this way, everyone around you is also operating that way. And so now the field is now asking more of you. It's sending you more complex problems, more complex challenges that need more simplicity. And here you are. You're able to provide more simplicity. And now you have better solutions.
So far you told us specifically about what it is. What are the benefits of the Body of Light, and what is the process by which it occurs? What is it specifically that you do with people to bring them there?
We get into like a 45-minute to 90-minute process. And, I ask a couple questions. Really, the initial focus is on mom and dad, or whoever was in the field raising them. And then we go on this guided, deep meditation that locates where these discordant belief systems are, where these energies came from, and we dismantle them and we send them back to the light. Yet to get the listener to really understand the depth of this, we need an entire chapter, entire part. We need another episode to get deeper into that, because that for me is the most profound system of integration and healing that exists currently on Earth. And I want to give it its proper due, because what we talked about so far is transmutations and attunements. And a transmutation is something that you can take home. An attunement is something that you can take home. So an attunement is what you observed us doing. And a transmutation is you're simply telling your body to locate a negative aspect of you and to send it back to the light. And you're doing that in repetitions of 9 or 36, depending on what I feel is most important for you. So what I think you should work with, though, before you tune in to the next bit that we're going to get into, which is transmutative meditations, I think you should lay in your bed tonight, relax, put your fingertips together, and then you should say 9 times every night before you go to sleep: body, brain, nervous system, allow me to feel all the love and the light and the presence in the heart of the universe. And by saying that 9 times tonight, you're giving your sleep direction, and you're going to be able to utilize that 6 or 7 or 8 or 5.5 hours, however much sleep you get, to be able to give your body, brain, and nervous system direction on what it wants to feel, so that when you wake up in the morning, you're tuned in to all the love, the healing, and the light, and the presence in the heart of the universe. And now you're going to start your day from that position, versus your groggy old self that's looking for a cup of joe to override all the exhaustion in your kidneys and your adrenal glands. I think that's a better way to start your day. So we'll tune into something deeper with the transmutative meditations the next time you tune in. So get down, pay attention to what's going on the True Body Intelligence podcast. Thank you for tuning in to today's content. This will be made available in its full form of everything we put together for you at truebodyintelligence.com. And at truebodyintelligence.com, you can tune into my book, Free for Life, a U.S. Navy SEAL's unique journey to inner freedom and outer peace. And there I will teach you at a much deeper level. And this will be really, really, really good reference tool for you. Plus, the audiobook has an opportunity to allow you to start the program already by purchasing the one with the energetic integrations, and that will help you get started. All of this content will also be available on all major platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, and YouTube.